Such a good word, manifesto. Manifest means clear, and O means nothing. Nothing is clear. How true. But it does give us room for manoeuvre. Now, O, a firm commitment. A tax allowance for married couples. £150 a year, I think they said. So, since the average cost of a wedding is £20,000, the allowance will have covered the whole cost after only, yes, 133 years of marriage. So we'll vote winner. Ah, the big society. Neighbourhood groups running post offices, charities running welfare services, parents' associations running schools. Well, you know, there's something rather touching about the Conservative Party in one of its romantic moods. How can we explain that professional jobs with statutory obligations and public funding might perhaps not best be done by inexperienced, untrained, part-time amateurs? The department is fully seized of the benefits to be gained from the big society. The Secretary of State will appreciate, however, that a precipitate move towards implementation could severely jeopardize its success and undermine public acceptance of the principle. We therefore attach a 9-stage transition schedule, giving the necessary time to legislation, staff training, financial structure, budgetary control, environmental safeguards, interdepartmental organization, and public consultation, before local trials are conducted and assessed. Now, obviously, this cannot be concluded in a single parliament, but with strong political commitment and a top administrative priority, we see no reason why the new system should not be up and running by the financial year 2017/18. That should see that off. Ah, carbon emissions. Ah, splendid. I see they'll cut them by 80%. That's very bold, very dramatic. And the target date is, 2050. Well, 40 years is a reasonable time. It would be churlish to suggest that by 2050 none of the present lot will be around to explain why it hasn't happened. The department fully appreciates the urgency of cutting carbon emissions and proposes the formation of a carbon reduction unit to collect data on carbon emission levels from the different industry sectors with a view to developing a national carbon reduction strategy for consultation with all the carbon emitting regions. With any luck, that'll take us most of the way to 2050, when I shall be 98. Do you know, what is interesting is that with the biggest deficit in our history and a projected debt level of about £1.25 trillion by 2013, there's no mention of rises in income tax or VAT. I just wondered if there was a special insert, but it doesn't seem to be. Still, I suppose that with 119 pages, there's a limit to the space available for small details. It's always a pleasure to read party manifestos, especially if you have a taste for fantasy fiction. They are remarkable anthologies of creative writing. It's such a pity that we have to convert them into tedious legislative documents. Still, that's our job. So, what does the Labour Party have to say about immigration? Numbers? No. A budget? No. Dates? No. But they're also unpoetic. People need to know that immigration is controlled. Excellent. After all, the rise of a rocket into the stratosphere is controlled. Now, what have we here? At the heart of our growth plan is the commitment to a high-speed rail line. Well, I think we've got a figure for that somewhere. Here, yes, £30 billion. Where's that going to come from, I wonder? Oh, the scheme is due for completion in 2032. Well, I must book a ticket on it to celebrate my 80th birthday. The department has noted the government's bold and imaginative commitment to a new high-speed rail network and will be conducting preliminary investigations into engine design, route planning, financial structures, environmental safeguards, commercial arrangements, and health and safety considerations with immediate effect. At least that will save us having to spend any money for 4 years. Ah, freedom of information. Oh dear, oh dear. We strongly support measures that improve the transparency of parliamentary institutions and government. Well, they can't say we didn't warn them, but I think there's a way to clip its wings a bit. We fully support the government's commitment to transparency, but we should point out that meeting requests for information has already cost over £30 million. In view of the critical state of the UK's finances, we recommend that the annual budget be capped in future to, say, £2 million a year, to be allocated by a departmental committee, which I shall chair. Ah, House of Lords reform. It's so nice to meet an old friend. It was promised 13 years ago. I wonder when it'll actually happen. I'm betting on a dead heat with the new high-speed rail line. Meanwhile, there's the little matter of the biggest budget deficit in Britain's history, and a forecast debt of getting on for £1.5 trillion by 2015. Well, they say they'll solve it, but they don't say exactly how. Well, you don't want to spoil a good story. Little gems from the Lib Dems Party Manifesto. You never know what you might find if you look carefully. Take the Lib Dem tax on bank profits. Now look under tax, and it's not there. Why? Because it's under savings. I think that's brilliant. After all, taxes are people's savings. It's just that the government spends the money for them. Perhaps the Lib Dems will introduce a whole new fiscal vocabulary. No more taxes, income savings, value-added savings, inheritance savings, capital gains savings. I'm surprised the other parties haven't thought of it. Oh. This is very good. Whoever wrote this is an expert. We could use him in the department. We will reverse the increase in national insurance contributions when resources allow. It shows you have all the right ideas, but since resources will never allow the reversal, you never actually have to do anything. It's a wonderful phrase, when resources allow. It's up there with when the time is ripe. Ah, the mansion tax. Or should that be the mansion savings? Payable at 1% of the value of any property over £2 million. Well, now that's a reasonable idea. At least it sounds reasonable, until you ask the experts about it. The Institute of Fiscal Studies say that it could slash the price of the more expensive houses, which means that it might bring in much less than they estimate. But the main thing is, it sounds good. One of those Robin Hood taxes, savings, where you take from the rich and give to the poor. The department has noted the proposal for a mansion tax and has taken it on board. It cannot, of course, be put into effect until we've completed a full survey of property values in England and Wales. And when this is completed, householders liable for the new tax will have to be informed of the revised valuation and be given 3 months' appeal against it. This will entail, of course, the appointment of an appeals inspectorate and regional valuation appeals tribunals. It should not, however, be a lengthy process. We would hope to have the system up and running within 2 or 3 parliaments. Oh, and what about this from page 50? Liberal Democrats will help protect children and young people from developing negative body images by regulating the airbrushing of adverts. Well, it takes all sorts to make a government. But How do you stop negative body images from developing? Well, I suppose we could set up the AABRNBIAA, the Advert Airbrushing Regulation and Negative Body Image Abolition Authority. Never let it be said that the civil service can't rise to a challenge.